and I must say it is going to take a bit of a miracle for me to actually wing it, because I've completely forgotten in my infinite wisdom to actually write one, but I'll do my best and hopefully deliver a very good stream. It promises to be a very good one. We're at Portugal for the first time in NRL and I believe CCR network history. I'm not entirely sure. It's going to be uncertainty for everyone, and I certainly cannot wait. And again, I apologise, my voice is very raspy. No clue why, but we'll see. A couple of people are readying up, but I'm not entirely sure when we are going to go. Before I forget, I shall actually change my audio settings. So I completely forget every time I go to commentate. I completely forget to adjust my audio settings. So the behind the scenes stuff, ladies and gents. This is the preparation for a stream. I usually start the stream right before we're about to ready up, and so I was put ready up. So I started the stream, and then he said under ready up because we're waiting for Indian Jesus, who I could not wait to get into the lobby because what a name is Indian Jesus. Like, instead of, do you know when he like gave food to everyone? Like, instead of it being fish, he just gave curries. That is what Indian Jesus does. Here he is, CRL Indian Jesus, the man himself, the Messiah, the one and only Indian Jesus. We absolutely love Indian Jesus. Four people out of 20 are readied up. That gives us a lovely little number at the top. I have a cup of tea, so I'm very content. I love myself a bit of a cup of tea. Who have we got actually in the stream then? Anyone coming in to say hello for the time being? I mean, we are readying up very shortly, so you haven't got very long in order to get yourself in. So make sure you are, ladies and gentlemen. Toss has finally said ready up, so here we are counting down. And if you just give me one moment while I get the stream up. Here we are, one watching. We've got one person in. Hello person. It's a pleasure to have you in. Make sure you're liking the stream, and again, anyone at home, if you do want to get involved, do make sure to message Toss on Discord and get yourself involved in any of the 3 leagues we have available for the CCR network. But it is time. Everyone's ready up. The counter has reached 0, so I will say hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the CCR network and to NRL. We're here for round number 7 of the Season 5 Championship, a championship that so far has proven to be very close, very decisive, and one that has been incredibly competitive. And today we head to Portugal, just to the left of Spain, and to Portimao, the roller coaster of a racetrack and the newest addition to the Codemasters Formula 1 2021 game. One of 3 tracks that will be added, and we travel here first for round number 7. It is a very undulating track, a very challenging circuit, and one we haven't been to before when it comes to the CCR network and NRL especially, so drivers are going to have to be on their toes. They haven't got that experience that they might have with other tracks such as Spain or Silverstone or Spa. They've accustomed themselves to the strategy, to the setups, to the just the feel of the race, and instead they're going to have to wing it and try different things out, and that's going to give us a plethora of different strategy options, a plethora of different paces. We might see a mixed up grid because Portimao definitely is not going to adhere to everyone's tastes and comfortabilities. And it's my first time in the commentary booth for a Portugal race, so for me it's an uncertainty as well. But we've got a full grid of drivers, all 20. And of course the new addition of Indian Jesus making his debut tonight, his first league race in 4 months. And well, it's a pleasure to have him in. And again, as I say just before the intro started, if you do want to get yourself involved with any of the 3 championships that we have available on the CCR network, NRL, PAFR and SFR as well, all 3 incredible championships, If you had to take my bet, I would say NRL is the best, but hey, I'm the commentator for it. There's absolutely no bias there whatsoever. However, we've got a couple of people and we need to turn our eyes to the action. We've got a few people now heading this way out onto the circuit journey ahead of the two Red Bulls. Heading out first, and of course I believe someone just in front of them as well doing so. You can just see, you really actually managed to capture the true undulation of the track. It really dips down in towards turn number 1 for Portimao. And then turn 2, again, it's pretty much flat through turn 3. But as soon as you get off the exit, you can see it just crests up and round this blind left-hander of turn 4. Leads onto this back DRS straight. A very, very good overtaking opportunity, I'm going to presume. And then into this hairpin corner of turn number 5. Again, just got to get it in. The car really does not want to bite in around here. The undulation really unsettles the car. And on a flat plane, the pitch of the car, the underbody, where the low pressure air underneath is sucking the car to the floor, the undulation throws that all into turmoil. The car is all over the place. The airflow underneath the car is again all over the place, and that really does account for a lot of spins, especially through turn 8 as we saw time trial. And I think every one of these drivers who's done a single lap around Portimao has 100% spun at turn 8 at least once. And through in towards turn number 10. In towards 11. This is a very awkward corner. You have to sort of pitch the car in early enough. We'll go on board with Vengeance as he is the first man out and he deserves the airtime. Through turn 13, completely flat out as you crash your way back down and then back up, and finally we get a bit of a flat plane down this pitch straight for Vengeance. His first lap in qualifying around at Portimao for NRL, round number 7, looking for that 50 board, down a couple of gears. You can just see how committed you can be. Through turn 2, easily flat, just got to set yourself up nicely for turn 3. Down to second gear, use that curb on the inside and just try not to bog down too much. Through turn 4, again, keep that throttle pinned, DRS open as you head down the hill. Dip down towards the hairpin of turn 5. Use the track on the entry at the 100 board. Bit of a lock-up from Vengeance, not going to be the best run for him. And then through turn number 6 in towards 7, this quick flick to the right, and then you're straight away under brakes for turn 8. Let's see if he manages to negotiate it. Having to soar at the wheel is Vengeance, just to try and get that car pitched in and get the front end to bite. And then through turn number 9 in towards 10, this sort of weird late apex right hander where you have to stay wide. That opens up the inside during the race. And then through turn in towards turn number 10. Pitch the car in to the left-hand side, third gear, roll it through. Looks to be a really tidy lap from Vengeance for a first lap around Portimao. Not bad at all. Through turn number 12. And then in towards turn 13. Again, you dip down completely flat out. Try not to use too much curb on the inside. And he keeps it shortest run to the line. Has used up his entire battery usage for the lap. A 16.642 for Vengeance. We don't know how that's going to stack up compared to the rest of the grid, as no one else has in fact set a time. We'll ride on board with ERT Henry in fact. On the mediums, 5/10 slower. IP just about 1.2 seconds slower. Tom Grove Prof about 1.1 seconds slower. So it seems to be, as it stands, a relatively good time for Vengeance. This is David Shord as NRL Kachow as well on the medium tyre, a 17.9, the reigning champion. Seems to be struggling quite a bit with the new game, but David in the Ferrari across the line, DRS open, it's a short run. It's P3 on the mediums, a 17.577, and just shy of a second off pole position. Not a bad lap time at all from the Ferrari as IP takes a trip across the gravel. Honesy, the 3-time champion here in NRL, a very quick driver, definitely knows what he's doing. As it stands, sits on a 23.114. And is trying to make up and try and steal that championship back off of Kachow, who managed to nip it last season. And we'll go on board with Stein. The championship leader goes purple to the first sector, I believe I saw. Through turn 7. Just look at the commitment. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him. IP, bit of a lock-up, definitely distracting him. But turn 8 is going to catch a lot of drivers out today. Holmesy moving over. And you can see through turn 9 in towards turn number 10. Again, as I say, this is my first time commentating Portimao, so if I get the corner numbers wrong, do not come for me. Do not have me beheaded. I will get them wrong a couple of times, just allow it. But Stein, his first lap, Vengeance as it stands, seems to be the one to beat. He set a good benchmark time of a 16.6. Can Stein, the championship leader, someone who seemed very dominant for the entirety of the season, missed last time out, and he's coming back to try and reclaim, restake his claim for the championship. A 16.9 as he comes across his first lap. And that puts him comfortably into P2, just a couple of tenths ahead of Henry, who on the medium tyre seems to be relatively quick. Indian Jesus for his first run in qualifying, just ahead of his teammate Exotic, and he rounds off P4, a reserve role for Indian Jesus. And he's certainly looking to impress. Still a few drivers to set their lap times. We've got Toss in the McLaren, of course, someone who is second place in the championship the last time I checked. And McLaren, of course, as a whole, doing really well in the constructors. Toss, of course, winning the first race of Bahrain. Then I had a long gap. I was very busy between round 2 and 5, 6. Today's round 7, I did last week. Between rounds 2 and 5, I had to miss, unfortunately, but I'm back now for the remainder of the season, and I certainly cannot wait. Mark of Kenya starting his first lap in the Williams. He's on the soft compound tyre, so that seems to be the tyre of choice for the majority of the grid. Through turn 1, 5th gear again seems to be the preferred gear. Braking a straight line for turn number 3. Don't let the rear end step out, as Mark of Kenya is showing you there, giving us some nice Tokyo drifts in the Williams. Under brakes at the 100 board. Let's see how he negotiates. Mark of Kenya, on his day, a very quick driver indeed. Can definitely give it some to the front runners and keep him honest. Consistently isn't someone you perhaps expect to be up there, setting the time machine to blaze. That's probably down to Stein, and we've seen our first spin on camera at turn 8. Just that undulating, the sheer gradient of the corner as it accelerates up, and you're on the throttle, and the apex is in fact a really big elevation change over the crest. That sort of caught him off a little bit, but Cali Rob in the Aston Martin, the American in a British car, across the line, a 16.7, just shy of around about 6/100ths of a second off of provisional pole, gets himself ahead of Stein. So yeah, so far some pretty decent lap times coming in the mid 16s. Again, that is the NRL guys, very quick drivers, as you will find. So if you do want to get involved, as I say, you need to definitely bring some good skill sets to the table. Then again, we've got Toss on the grid, so I probably shouldn't say that. He is the one supplying me with the Freddos. We all love Toss, and I do not have a gun to my head when I say that. Toss, we love it when Toss does well, even if he does throw it in our faces the majority of the time. Approaching halfway through qualifying then, 9 minutes 50 left on the clock, and we're still waiting for a few people left to go. It's Vengeance, Cali Rob, Stein, Henry and Indian Jesus, your top 5, with Exotic in P6, David in P7, Jerdy, IP and Kachow rounding off the top 10, and Toss for his first lap on the medium compound tyre goes into 14th place, just ahead of his teammate Stuart Little, who himself is going to be starting a lap on the softs. Going to try and improve upon that 18.6 that he set for his first lap, which I believe was on the medium, so he's going to try and improve. Cali Rob out on his lap, probably coming in for an in-lap. Vengeance on an out-lap. He's going to try and stretch his gap for pole position and make it a little bit more comfortable. Of course, you can always improve it even if you are comfortable, and it just gives yourself a bit more confidence boost. If you set a good lap in quali and you feel good about yourself going into the race, it does definitely help you going in. The mentality side of things is not often talked about when it comes to sim racing. Really is not talked about enough. You have to be in the right mindset. You can be as quick as you like, but if you're not feeling it, you're not going to be doing very well. And I think Stuart Little went for a bit of a slide through turn 8. Not quite sure if we caught it, but it definitely looked as though he'd lost the rear end slightly. And again, really wide through turn 10 as you dip back down the hill. Really does undulate. And as a driver, again, I've not ever been fortunate enough to drive Portimao nor any racetrack. But I can just imagine how surreal of an experience it must be. But Vengeance will ride on board with him, the man currently provisional pole, by just over half a tenth of a second. Half of a blink of an eye separate the top 2 as it stands, and that's to be expected in NRL. We always love our close qualifyings, as Stuart Little managed to get himself into P14 with an 18.0. Vengeance, though, can he improve upon his time and extend the gap at pole position 3 and 4 for the 2 Alpha Tauris, Stein and Vert. 2 very quick drivers, 2 very competent drivers, 2 very consistent drivers, as Vengeance keeping that car pinned. Off the exit at turn 8 through turn 9, you go up the hill, and then it levels out as you're under brakes for turn 10. Keeping it in the middle of the track, taking a really unorthodox line. You'd often see drivers go all the way to the left-hand side. He's marginally up on his time. You can see 29 thousandths of a second. And through turn 11, going a little bit wide, still using the curb on the exit. That's probably going to cost him a little bit of time. 4th gear through the penultimate corner, just to try and keep well, keep the rear wheels turning, but not too much as they're going to spin. That gives him that confidence under the throttle pedal. And in fact, he's coming in. He's not confident with that lap time. He wants to come in and reassess as Stein takes a heap of curb. He munched that curb for breakfast, lunch, and dinner as he went through turn 7, and then skates his way over the outside curb. And he seemed to be a little bit up on his time. He's going to try and improve and maybe get himself onto the front row. But he's still got all to gain and all to lose through this final sector. Only a few corners long. Only 13 corners here at Portimao. It's not the longest lap in the world. And of course, lap times of only 1:16. So yeah, it's really not the longest lap. It's probably up there with Austria and Monaco. And 1:16, probably just below Monza, I'd say, in terms of lap times, and as well to Catalunya. They're sort of around the 1:16 mark. But Stein across the line for his second lap. Is he going to be the front row? No, it's not. He improves to a 16.7, matches Calirob to the 10th, but again, just that little bit off when it comes to actually managing to pip him. Kachau, I say, he's not feeling it for the 2021 game, but he's managed to put it into P4 provisionally over the 17.0, but Vert on the medium tyre, a 17.0. So look out for him. This is Henry, a man who set his time on the mediums. He's now on the softs. How much of a lethal force can he be as he goes through the penultimate corner? It seemed to be that he was purple to the middle sector, but we don't know. He's coming through the final corner now and is actually peeling his way into the pit lane. So probably not confident in his lap and just wants to maybe show it up a little bit. This is Guzovsik across the line. Can't improve enough to improve his position and stays at P10. On board now with Dace in the Haas. He's now going to cross the line, or no, he's not. He's going to cross the pit entry line and come into the pit lane. Honesy, 6 laps he's been on those tyres. He's really taken this car long. Maybe wanting to warm up, maybe wanting to acclimatise himself to the circuit, maybe just trying to scrub in the tyres or scrub himself in more so than anything. And just try and warm up a little bit, and then at the dying stages of qualifying put a really good lap in, because yeah, we haven't seen the true pace of Honesy, I'm sure, and he's on 7-lap old tyres. So what he doesn't want to happen is that he improves on these tyres, goes into the top 10 and then has to start on these tyres. That would be absolutely detrimental to his lap, to his race as a whole. But Vert is back out on the mediums. It's not a fresh set, of course, you only get one set of mediums. His best is on the softs. Is he confident he can improve on the mediums then? I said a little bit earlier he set his time on the mediums. That obviously was not true. It was on the softs, and I was mistaken. He's now on the mediums. Strange though, because I'm not quite sure. You don't often see the mediums be actually quicker than the softs, if ever. I've never personally seen the mediums, or at least in the Formula 1 game, be quicker than the softs. Of course, we look back to Silverstone either 2020 or 2019, where the mediums are actually quicker than the softs in Q3 due to the track surface temperatures being so high and the softs just overheating. But the mediums, because they're the harder compound, being able to scrub in that a little bit better and actually be in a prime temperature window for the entirety of the lap, whereas the softs overheated midway through. But yeah, in the Formula 1 game, you don't really ever get that. So for Vert, it's an interesting strategy. Unless he sandbagged on his first lap and is actually wanting to improve on these mediums, he knew he'd only get one chance. And it's all down to this one. Can he improve upon a 17.0 on the medium tyres? We're going to have a little look. His teammates in P3. Stein is going to be wanting to challenge for pole. He's just over a 10th off it as it stands. Vengeance and Cali are both unable to improve for the moment. But Vengeance is heading out for his final run in qualifying. This is Vert using an incredible amount of VRS down this back straight. Down 3 gears as he goes through turn 1. A little bit too quick into turn 1, just used that little bit too much track on the exit, and unfortunately that cost him his lap. It's now invalidated and he's going to have to go for a second warm-up lap. Kev, we haven't seen much of him. His teammate, as it stands, provisional pole, he's in P8, but then again not too far off, only around about 6.5 tenths or so off his teammate, so not too big of a gap between the two. But of course Kev is going to want to improve, and there's 3 of them in the first sector alone. Can he see himself bumped up a few places? I mean, as it stands, it will be at the very least P5, maybe P4, and then if he can improve a further 3 tenths across 2 sectors, that will be onto the front row and definitely contesting with the likes of Stein and Calirob, maybe even for provisional pole. We never know. But through turn 9 and up the hill over the crest towards turn 10 under the brakes, he seems to be getting it relatively hooked up. He's not seeming to be running wide anywhere, and he is purple to the middle sector, 3.5 tenths up on his previous best time. It's all to play for in this final sector. Bit of a twitch under brakes in towards turn 11, and then in towards turn number 12. You just got to chuck it through and hope that the front end sticks. It's a long corner and you have to sort of go for an early apex, because if you turn too late, you're going to be losing a lot of the time. But across the line for Atomkev, is it going to be an improvement? Is it going to see him towards the front end of the grid? Across the line is P4, a stellar lap from Atomkev then, and that's a lot closer to his teammate, a lot more representative of his pace. But that's all provided that Kachow and Vert don't improve. I don't think Vert is going to be going out for another lap. We'll go on board with Vengeance as he's towards the tail end of his lap. In fact, he's invalidated his lap. So we'll go on board with Calirob. He's starting his. He only needs around about half a tenth or so. Stein just needs around about 2 tenths to probably comfortably seal pole position, provided Vengeance doesn't improve. But Calirob starting his final run in qualifying. Then the checker flag will be dropped very, very soon for qualifying for round 7. Calirob into turn 1, 5th gear. You can see how he really lifted the brakes off very slowly and pitched the weight of the car to the front. That's what happens when you apply the brakes. All the weight goes to the front as you slow down. And just taking the brake pedal in, trail braking in, puts more weight on the front axle. But unfortunately for Calirob, a little bit too wide through turn 4. And that cost him a little bit too much time. And yeah, invalidated lap times might give us an anticlimactic end to this qualifying session. And it's probably going to be down to who can hook it up best. NRL Kachow starting his final run. He's currently P5, 17-0 with 4 tenths separating the top 6, 5 tenths separating the top 7, and well, it's very, very close amongst the midfield. You can just see how incredibly close it is, how fine the margins are here in NRL. The entire grid separated by 2.5 seconds, if that. Honesy on a set of medium tyres is going to go for his final run. Tossed down in P19, second place in the championship. Portimao is not going his way. This is Vengeance on a scrub set of softs. After his first lap being invalidated, he's going to be taking it slow over the course of his lap, and once he started this one, he's half a tenth down to the first sector. That's not going to help him, especially if Calirob can mount a reasonable advance on his previous best. This is Stein. Went a couple of tenths faster on his previous best lap. He's going to try and improve upon that even more so on this final run. A fresh set of softs through turn 4, DRS open. And can he improve? So the first sector, it's a little bit down, just shy of a tenth. That's not what he needs, but he's still got 2 sectors to turn it around. Relatively okay through turn 5. Through turn 6, this little left-hand kink. As you go towards turn 7, you really just got to chuck it through. Down a gear, brake as soon as you're in a straight line. And that is Stein through turn 8, looking very, very much on rails. This is Calirob through the first sector. Has he improved? No, he hasn't. That's his qualifying pretty much over. He doesn't have enough time to get to the line. This is Vengeance though. He's slightly up to the middle sector. The checker flag is out. Is Vengeance going to extend his gap for pole position over the crest and across the line? Is it an improvement? No, he stays he stays pole, but with no improvement. That could leave him under pressure from Stein, who's 3 tenths up on his personal best. Can the championship leader on his return go back to the top step and for pole position through the final corner? He's at the moment on a 16.7 across the line. ERT Henry a 16.2. Can Stein match that or beat it? No, it's P2 ERT Henry with a 16.291. The Red Bull, we knew he had pace from his medium lap, but he's blown it out of the water. 2 tenths he takes pole position by. What a lap from the Red Bull driver to stick it on pole position at the death that we wasn't expecting that. We were expecting it to be Stein, Vengeance or Calirob, maybe even Kachow, but Henry, we completely forgot about him at the backside. Can Honesy improve? He's down in P20. He's on a decent lap time as it stands. Can he get himself in the top 10 in order to see himself start on those medium tyres? Qualifying is drawn to a close, but we can still have the Ferrari cross the line and show his pace. We haven't seen a true representative time for Honesy as of yet. Toss the Caber, 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Vengeance across the line for Honesy. It's P11, just shy of the top 10. He's going to get a free tyre choice, and that's probably the best position. Indian Jesus on a slowdown lap. He qualifies P12 for his first ever qualifying in NRL. Not a bad effort at all for the Alfa Romeo, and to be fair, less than a tenth of a second would see him inside the top 10. Not a bad effort for Indian Jesus, and points definitely on the cards for him. As Kachow rounds off his lap and goes into the pit lane. We're just waiting for Toss to round off his qualifying. Of course, has drawn to a close. The race will be coming very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. So do not go anywhere. Make sure you've got your cups of tea. Make sure you've got everything. And for McLaren F1, yeah, they are really not having the best of days for the last couple of rounds. 18th and 19th. And after 18 minutes of qualifying for round number 7, the first qualifying at the Portuguese Grand Prix for NRL, and it's ERT Henry that takes pole position for Red Bull. A 1:16.292 right at the death of it. Just shy, just off 1.5 tenths quicker than Stein. He'll join him on the front row on that burst towards turn 1. Vengeance into P3 with Callirop at P4. Kachau, the reigning champion, rounds off the top 5 with Atamkev, his fellow German, in P6. Vert P7 for AlphaTauri, doing definitely a good job of matching his teammate relatively well. David in P8 with Marcofenia P9 with Dace rounding off the top 10. Honesy P11 with Indian Jesus P12. Tom Prof P13 with Exotic 14th. IP Jerdy, NRL Ben, Stuart Little, Ted Wardo and Toss round off the grid for the Portuguese Grand Prix. It's going to be a good one. It promises well, and as is the case with the CCR Network and NRL, overall it definitely will be an absolutely incredible race. Not quite sure on the lap count. We'll have to double check as soon as we go green. However, I certainly cannot wait, and I'm sure you guys at home certainly cannot wait for the championship battle to continue. Seems to be relatively overcast. That is slightly different. To what we saw in qualifying, and we might see some rain. That would spice it up. It's an uncertainty as it is. However, a little bit of rain definitely would not go amiss, and well, hopefully it's at a very spicy point in the race, such as a pit window or something. If it does come, of course, overcast can be overcast without rain, and we'll have to wait and see. Waiting for players to load in, sort their strategies out, final tweaks to their setups. Of course, they are under parc fermé conditions. So, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. You join us at the perfect time for the start of the race. If you are new to the CCR Network, this is the NRL Championship. This is round number 7 here at Portimao, the first race ever for the Portuguese Grand Prix. And well, if you are new, definitely sit down because you are in for a treat. And if you are new to Formula 1 as a whole, this is definitely going to give you a lovely introduction. And do not be shy to say hello in the live chat, guys. I don't bite. I will be definitely checking up on the live chat as we go through. Tell me who you're rooting for and tell me what your thoughts of the race are so far. And while we wait, maybe give us some predictions during the formation lap. If you are watching and you are interested, no pressure at all if you don't want to. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the CCR Network if you haven't already, and like the stream because it pushes the league out there and definitely gives us a good name. Of course, my name is Zach Sweeney. If you are interested, probably not, but hey, any plug goes a long way. But yeah, I'm Zach Sweeney. I'm the commentator for NRL, and as I say, my voice is slightly raspy, as I said at the start of the stream. Probably come down with one of those illnesses that everyone's getting during the autumn and going into winter. It's not corona, I can promise you that. But with 10 seconds left to go, 12 people in the stream. That's quite a few, ladies and gentlemen. That is probably some of the highest numbers we've seen for recent times in this season. So come in, sit down, and you join us at the perfect time. We go green for the formation lap very soon. And if you have just joined us, I'll talk through the starting grid once more. It's a 33-lap race here for the Portuguese Grand Prix. It's ERT Henry on pole position with Stein Zapp alongside him. The championship leader couldn't quite deny Henry of pole position at the death of it. Vengeance in P3 with Callirop. P4 with Kachau. P5 Atamkev. P6 Vert. P7 David in P8 with Marco Kenya. P9 and Dace rounding off the top 10. Honesy, the 3-time champion, couldn't quite breach the top 10 on his medium run. He'll start P11 with a free choice of tyre and a fresh set of those yellow walled medium tyres. CRL Indian Jesus, his first league race in 4 months and his first race for NRL. He qualifies at P11, and with a stellar name like that, you can only hope that he goes forward. Tom Prof in P13 with Exotic P14, IP in 15th with Jerdy P16, NRL Ben in P17 with Stuart Little, Ted Wardo and Tosh rounding off the grid we have a quick little look at how the tyre wear the tyre compound choices for those outside the top 10. Of course, those outside do get a free choice, and it's pretty much mostly going for hards, few going for the medium, so they're looking to go long in this race, and with the lighter fuel towards the end, have the softer compounded tyre, and then of course use that to sort of go forward at the death of the race. And if there is a safety car late on and they haven't pit and they've got the track position, only going to gain them ever more time. You can see ART Henry though really backing up the grid, weaving around left to right, using the abrasion of the track, using that friction to get some heat into those tyres off the line. It's a relatively long-ish run towards turn 1, and you need that good run. Of course, no one's really going to stick it up the inside of turn 1. You're not on the brakes for very long, but you still need a good run. You don't want to get swallowed up into turn 1. It's a fast corner, as I say, and it's very easy to get swiped across because, well, someone's going to take the race line. If you're half-heartedly on the inside, you're going to get spun around. Sorry to break it to you, that is probably what you should expect. Going into turn 1, and it is a relatively tight corner as well, not far off 90 degrees, probably around about, I'd say 80 odd, something like that. Again, I don't have a protractor on the map. That is a very rough guess, and probably a very inaccurate one at that. BRT Henry lines himself up on pole position. It's actually a really short run towards turn 1, but it's two Honda powered cars on 1 and 2. And then the two Mercedes powered cars of the Mercedes and the Aston Martin 3 and 4. 33 laps, round number 7. The Portuguese Grand Prix starts right here, waiting for Ted Wardo at the back of the grid, waiting for the green flag, and then the 5 red lights to illuminate your screen to send us off and underway. Henry is going to want to go for that race win. Stein's going to want to extend his championship lead, especially with his main rival down in P20. Here we go then, the cars are revving up, the engines are revving. And 5 red lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. So the Portuguese Grand Prix, 33 laps ahead of us. Round number 7 is underway, and it's a relatively good start from pole position for Henry, but Stein also gets a relatively good one. Vengeance already looking to the outside of the AlphaTauri in towards turn 1. Can he go all the way around the outside? He's going to keep his nose in, and he goes off the track to keep the position. Stein going to send it back up the inside to keep P2, and this is only helping Henry. There's a bit of a crash towards the backside. Indian Jesus has gone round, and is that Holmesy going straight on at turn number 3? Indeed it is. Vengeance comes back at the AlphaTauri. There's a bit of contact between the two, and Cali Rob is going to come through and trying to capitalise off it. He's going to go all the way around the outside of Vengeance, who sends it to the inside of turn number 5, and it's all a bit of a squabble as the Mercedes and the Aston Martin and the AlphaTauri all trying to find their way through. But Henry, a perfect start to this Grand Prix, 1.9 seconds he leads by, and it's not even halfway through the first lap. They all try and negotiate turn number 8 relatively cleanly, with Tom Goprof up 5 places, Jurdy and Ben up 6, Ted Wardo up 6 as well. Kachow getting a relatively poor start, down 6, but he's going to try and make amends for it and try and recover as quickly as he can. Vengeance though very aggressive off the start, so too was Stein, and neither of them want to lose this place, and you can just see how late Vengeance is on the brakes, trying to put Stein under that pressure and trying to get himself promoted 1 place higher on the podium place, and Cali Rob also trying to get himself on to that podium. Toss managing to gain 5 places off the first lap. Vengeance going to have a lovely slipstream down this long pit straight. 2 tenths separate the two. EIT Henry leads off the first lap in towards lap number 2 of 33. Cali Rob also getting a bit of a slipstream off these two. He's got a front row seat. No one really though going for much of a move in towards turn 1. They're going to bide their time and just wait. It seems like Stein has got relatively good pace. You can see he is matching Henry pretty much relatively well to the first sector. But don't forget, it is looking relatively overcast. Well, it was looking relatively overcast. Ted Wardo becomes our first retiree of the session. And it's a VSC being brought out at full course yellow. So basically, effectively pressing pause on this race. Not quite sure as to what happened to Ted Wardo. Tom Goprof and Stuart Little both head their way into the pit lane for some hard compound tyres to go long into this race. And a front wing change. But the VSC coming out. What a start from Tosh, you have to give it to him. Really was a great start, up 6 places and on the fringe probably of contesting for points, I would say. And he's on those hard tyres, remember he's on the alternate strategy. He's going to be very quick towards the end of this race. And we go back to green flag racing. ERT Henry still leads from Stein, Vengeance, Cali Rob and Atom Kev. Your top 5, David managed to make up a couple of places as well. We look further down the grid because this is Kachow getting a really good restart, managing to jump NRL Ben behind him in the Alpine. So Kachow, the reigning champion, pretty poor start, down 4 places. But as I say, trying to make amends and recover as quickly as possible. DRS will be enabled on this next lap. That's going to make Vengeance's job a little bit easier to sort of sail his way through. He won't get the benefit of it now. He will, however, get the benefit down in towards turn number 5. and they're just trying to conserve their ERS as best they can. Stein relatively slow through turn number 1 compared to Vengeance. And losing a little bit of time to Henry as well. David managing to get himself into the top 5 because Atomkev has gone for a spin through turn number 1. Got over that curb a little bit too much, too eager on the throttle maybe. And he's tumbling down the order, down to 16th, maybe even 17th, because Vert, with a poor start himself, has been struggling. Stein, though, under an insane amount of pressure because Vengeance really has not been giving this up at all. He's been breathing down his neck, and Calirob also sort of been lurking in the background. He's been that distant figure looming over the fight for P2. Vengeance going quite deep in towards turn 8. That gives Stein a bit of a breath of fresh air, maybe to sort of alleviate the pressure slightly, but still 4/10 between them. He cannot get complacent by any means. And for Henry, it's just about managing to control that pace at the front. He's got the overwhelming pace by qualifying, but 1 lap in quali does not translate to 33 laps in the race. You have to be consistent, you have to put the lap times in, and you have to be very much efficient with your ERS, your tyre saving, and your strategy as a whole. Honesy managing to get himself into 13th, Toss as well up to 14th because Mark of Kenya has fallen down a little bit. DRS will be enabled for Vengeance. We're going to stay on board this fight for P2 because I'm sure it's going to be very, very hard for ERT Henry. The fastest lap of this race. And Vengeance with DRS, he's closing, but he's not using his DRS. He's not closing enough, I don't think, in order to launch a full-on attack. This is Jerdy in the Red Bull closing on Ben. He's not got a lot in terms of ERS in the battery. They dip down towards turn number 1. NRL Ben doesn't even flinch, doesn't even think to go to the inside, but Jerdy with a good run through turn 1 might look to the inside of turn 3. He's going to look to the right hand side, put Ben off slightly, and we have to quickly jump to the front 5 because Vengeance in the DRS, and we never know what he's going to do down the inside. He might be conserving ERS, he might just be sat behind, but we never know. This is a fight for P6. This is Dace on the back of Exotic, his teammate Kachow right behind him also, and Exotic has got 2 Hasses all over his rear end, and he's going to want to keep that P6. He's worked hard for it, up 8 places off the start of this race. And again, we cut to the fight for P2 because it's 2/10 separating Vengeance and Stein, the championship leader and the championship contender. The Mercedes versus the Alpha Tauri. Yellow flash who set the 2. Is that Indian Jesus going off? I think it is, yeah. Down a few places. His start to this race really not the best. Toss up to P12, up 8 places in this race. Kachow trying to get onto the back of his teammate Dace, and just try and work together. Dace, of course, Holmes' teammate for last season, demoted down to Haas. But again, is Vengeance actually going to go for a move this time around? He's going to use his ERS. He's pressed the button. He wants to go for it. Is he going to close at a rate of knots? He's going to try. Stein looking in his mirrors. He's got the benefit of the DRS that's going to help propel him down this back straight, but it's not enough. And he's not using his ERS in order to close that gap. So quickly back to this fight for P6. No one really confident enough to go for a move, it seems. Jerdy on the back of Ben. Surely he's going to go to the outside. There's a bit of contact, and Ben has been sent into the wall, and that's a big crash. And Toss is out as well. He spun on the main straight. What has happened to Toss? Did he get collected in that skirmish? I think he did. He's ghosted, and that is a huge, huge crash. Jerdy just getting a bit too eager to the left-hand side, I think, of Ben. Bit of contact, bit of wheel banging. One of them was sent into the wall. That was bound to happen. No full course yellow. We're now down to 17 drivers in a full course safety car. I think that is the best course of action for sure. Brings the grid back down to sort of a monitorable level while the virtual marshals clear the debris. That was a huge crash. Toss had an incredible start as well. Is this going to trigger any pit stops, I wonder? At the front, I'm going to guess not. We'll swap the tyre graphic to the tyres. Have a look. This is obviously going to close the... And for Toss, his tyre blew off on the straight without crashing. Now that is very weird. Stein and Vengeance both come in. ERT Henry stays out. Calirob comes in, David comes in, Exotic stays out, Dace comes in, Kachow going to have to double stack at Haas, goes under brakes, and he's going to be trying to save himself a lot, well, extend the gap as much as he can as to not double stack and lose time. Exotic though, up into P2 from the back end of the grid. Not a bad start for him, of course, on those tyres, can go longer. But yeah, under the full course safety car, ERT Henry leads, Zotic, Ben, Honesy and Stein, your top 5. Stein though, coming in, he's going to switch to a 2-stop strategy, go to those mediums, and then probably either another set of mediums or a second set of softs towards the end, and could probably put him ahead of Henry in terms of this strategical battle, because Henry has to stop, of course. He's going to commit to his 1-stop, but I'm not confident that those soft tyres are going to last much longer, so he might as well have just come in, which is why I'm a little bit baffled. But he's definitely got the overwhelming pace in order to win this race. So who knows? He probably knows better than I do. It's an uncertainty for everyone. Yeah, for a lot of drivers such as Honesy, Ben and Exotic, this is going to help them out because they've got the track position and they're still going long in this race. And they will probably pit around about the same time as Stein does as well. Well, at least in Ben's case. Maybe Exotic and Honesy if they can stretch those tyres 5 laps longer. So for Honesy and Exotic and Ben, this is a very, very good cause. Probably 1, maybe 2 more laps of this full course safety car left to go, and we're back under green flag racing. We're going to have a look at what happened to Toss. Wait, what? It was 3 abreast with him. No, it wasn't. So he's got Mark of Kenya and the Mercedes of Atomkev to his left and his right. The Williams comes across, and then it was a big crash with Mark Kenya. So there was 2 huge crashes down the same main straight on lap 5, and Tosh just got collected in it. That was, yeah, these things happen, and unfortunately for Tosh, got collected in it, and is slowly ruining his championship charge. And he had a promising start to the season. We're around about halfway through now. But yeah, so lap 7 of 33. Still a long way to go in this race. Still a lot of things that can still happen. Down to 17 runners. A few DNFs, Jerdy, Tosh the Caber and Ted Wardo all out. And all of them, in fact, started on the hard compounded tyre. So, is it a curse? We don't know. Maybe. NRL, Ben, Vengeance, Kachow, Tom and Stuart Little should all watch out a little bit, because anyone that's retired right now has been on the hard compound tyre. A bit of a scary statistic. But at least for Toss, we're just going to have a little bit of a look. Marco Pena goes to the left, gets over the cup. How? I don't get how that's happened. For Toss, if you're in the stream, hello, and you get to watch what could have been a fantastic race for you. Your teammates down in P17 just rub salt in the wound a little bit. That is really unfortunate for Tosh, because he had really good pace, for sure. He definitely had the pace to go on and do well. He had a good start, and of course, well, he did cause the safety car. But yeah, 1 more lap under safety car, because Stuart Little's joined us at the back end of the grid, and then we'll go racing, going on to lap 9. Okay, swapping places with Tom. They're racing under a safety car. Not quite sure as to how that's happening. It's literally the point of a safety car is that you don't overtake and you queue up behind each other one by one. Very Congalai-esque, and you can see moving around left to right like a snake. Trying to warm up those tyres, and especially for those on the hards and the mediums, it's going to be tough to warm them up. ERT Henry though, he's gone long on these softs. It's probably around about his pit window anyway. And he's stayed out still. He's going to have to pit pretty much as soon as the safety car comes in. He's going to go down to P17. But at least he's on the 1 stop, I guess. That's his saving grace. Maybe. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this is going to play for Henry. He should have pit. I'm convinced he should have pit. He's the only soft runner that didn't pit. And I'm slightly concerned for him because, yeah, he did well for those first couple of laps. Maintained the gap and was consistently quick. And Exotic will probably be quicker because those mediums have come into their own, and the sort of the crossover point has happened between the softs and the mediums, where the mediums will be slightly quicker. So yeah, expect Henry to either pit for the first lap off the safety car, or try and stretch the softs out. I can't really see that happening. this circuit does demand a lot of the tyres. There's very long swooping corners, especially turns 1 and 2, and then turn 4 are a really long swooping corner. Safety car is in this lap though, so we'll find out in due course what Henry is going to do. The mystery in terms of strategy, and this is what we were expecting coming into Portugal, because it is an uncertainty. It's new for everyone, it's new for me, and it's new for the 17 drivers that are still on the grid, and it was new for the 3 that have retired and have unfortunately left us in this race. But Henry becomes the effective safety car. He's going to control the pace around this final corner. He chooses when to punch it, probably going to be as late as possible so he doesn't get slipstreamed all the way down, but Exotic is going to try his best in order to put that pressure on. He has punched it. Oh no, he spun off the safety car restart. Henry has gone from bad to worse for him, so Exotic is going to lead us round this safety car restart. We're back on the green flag. Hones into P3. That's made Stein's job very, very easy indeed. NRL Ben closing at a rate of knots on Exotic. He's not quite going to be close enough to mount a challenge in towards turn 1. David to the right hand side of the Aston Martin of Kadyrov, who swoops around the outside in order to keep P6. David not with much to say about that, and Dace to the left hand side sends it under brakes, goes the long way round. What a move from the Haas. It's now going to be the inside as they go up over the crest through turn 4. Days into P7, an opportunistic move if I've ever seen one, and Kachow working with his teammate to try and get past the Ferrari to the right hand side. Can he go the long way round through turn 5? And Henry once again late under brakes, sends everyone wide at turn 5 and drives up the inside to go into P7. Not quite sure what's happening there. Kachow's going to fight him in towards turn 7, backs out of it though, and Henry managing to get himself into the top 7 once again. How clean that move was is a question for another day, or a question for the stewards for sure. Lap 9 of 33, Exotic leads Ben and Honesy, who's on the back of the Alpine, as Henry has left the session probably for lag or just rage quitting. I'm not quite sure as to how that's going to work for him. Stein also on the back of the reigning champion on some fresh tyres, and now I probably would say the race favours Honesy, not Honesy, well probably Honesy as well. Honesy, Stein, Vengeance and Caddy probably are going to be those fighting for the top 3. ERS using for Stein though, the championship leader, wanting to extend that, especially because again the man in P2 is out of this race. You can see Honesy losing his ERS deployment at the end of that lap. That's allowed Stein to use that momentum to close in towards turn 1. He looks to the right hand side, has to tuck back in though and practically push him through turn 1. Is he going to look towards turn 3? No, he's going to have to back off. He's going to have to bide his time. Vengeance though wants to look for an opportunity, a bit of contact to the rear end of Stein in fact, as once again they go over the crest through turn 4. And Honesy wants to find a way through on Ben. Stein wants to find a way through on Honesy, and Vengeance wants to find a way through on Stein. But Kadyrov wants to find a way through on Vengeance. This is a very, very long train, 5 cars long, bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper, and that's a lot of bumpers. Through and towards turn 8, NRL Ben going slightly deep. He's trying to stay on the back end of Exotic, who's just managing to extend the gap. NRL Ben, of course, on the hard compound tyre, so of course he is expected to be slightly slower. Henry has joined back. He's down in P17, and his race probably very ruined, but he can still recover. Still a long way to go, only a third of the way through. And this fight for P2 still raging on. 1.3 seconds Exotic leads by over Ben. Honesy behind, waiting for that DRS to be enabled on this next lap so he can sail past, or at least try to sail past. He's used a little bit of ERS to try and bridge that gap and maintain the closeness that he is to NRL Ben, who goes a little bit wide through the final corner of turn 13, brings it back onto the track. That's going to hurt his run. Here comes Honesy to the right hand side. He's got overwhelming pace in excess of 190 miles an hour ahead before the corner, and that's him into P2 fairly comfortably. Stein also wants to find a way through and get himself past Vengeance as well, and Kadyrov rounding off this sort of train, and Honesy now released to chase after Exotic. Has he got the pace to do so? If anyone does, it's going to be Honesy. One more yellow flags. I think that's the other AlphaTauri of Vert going round, unfortunately. DRS enabled for a lot of these guys. You can see Stein looking to the inside, and Kadyrov going up the inside of Vengeance, gets it stopped for turn 5. Vengeance going for the switcheroo. They've all sort of stopped, and Kadyrov getting a very good drive off of turn 5 into 6, and on the back of Stein they also just sort of stopped and had to just stop themselves into not going into the back of each other, which is weird. That's cost him quite a bit of time. But NRL Ben, or Ben, in the Alpine, trying to keep Honesy honest, who's already managed to bridge the gap to Exotic. Haven't quite got the time in intervals, and that probably will be reset at the start of the next lap, but he is definitely visibly inside the DRS range and going to be fighting for that race lead very, very shortly. Kadyrov up into P5, Vengeance down to 6th, with Stein still trying to chase after that podium place. He should be a lot quicker than Ben, convincingly so, but the fight for the race lead. Honesy, not a lot of ERS in the battery compared to Exotic, who's got well over half a battery. He's going to use it in order to defend. Can Honesy close with DRS? He's going to try again, can't quite close and he's going to have to bridge the gap some other way. Stein to the right hand side of Ben in towards turn 1, gets it stopped, clean as you'd like it, and that was a very easy affair for the AlphaTauri. Now he can set his sights for the lead fight, and he's got that card between himself, Cali Rob and Vengeance. But the Alpine goes in deep. Can Honesy close the gap down this back straight? No, he can't. Cali Rob also interested in getting past the Alpine, who's definitely going backwards. Can Cali Rob go for an almighty send down the inside? He looks, Ben gives him the space. He threads the needle side by side through turn 5, and Vengeance just wants to find a way through. Cali Rob hasn't gotten the drive off the corner compared to Ben, who manages at the moment to stay ahead, but for how much longer certainly is the question. Exotic 6/10 leads Honesy. And some other fights going up and down the grid, but they are still very, very close. Cali Rob very desperate to get past Ben. Is he going to look to the inside of turn 10? The space doesn't quite open up as well as he'd have liked. And the Mercedes as well wants to try and pick a way through and not lose too much time. 1.6 seconds. Stein is off the lead fight. He's going to try and use his ERS, try and use his fresh tyres to close that gap. And he does look to be one of the favourites. Indian Jesus once again going for a bit of a spin. That is unfortunate. Honesy looks visibly a lot closer through the exit of turn 13 to start lap 13 as well. DRS open. He's going to use his battery to full effect to try and bridge that gap. He's closing at a rate of knots. Pulls to the right hand side. The fight for the race lead. Here comes Honesy. He is ahead in towards turn 1. And that was very, very easy indeed. Exotic didn't fight that one too hard. Honesy takes the race lead after starting from P11. Lap 13. He's ahead. Deep into turn 3 though. Exotic might see that as an invitation to come back in towards turn 5. He's going to have the DRS. He's going to use his ERS because he's got the advantage. Can he close enough? No, he can't, is the answer to that question. Vengeance on the back of Ben. He's going to look to the outside, but he's going to bide his time, be a little bit more patient, and he taps the rear end of the Alpine. That could be a bit of carbon fibre going up in the air. And Vengeance's race thrown into turmoil. Doesn't look to be any visible damage so far. But expect some maybe to be affecting the Mercedes. E.T. Henry sets the fast lap and leaves the session once again. Honesy very wide into turn 10. And that just allows him to carry that speed through. 5/10 is still the gap between Exotic and Honesy, and don't forget Exotic has got the advantage when it comes to the battery deployment. 160 brake horsepower extra you get from that overtake button, and he's going to try and use that to stay in touch with the race leader, both on equal tyres and both relatively matched in terms of pace. DRS open, he's not quite going to be able to close enough. Vengeance is going to want to get past Ben, who's weaving around left to right, trying to break that hole in the air that he's punching for the Mercedes, but it's not going to halt the charge as he pulls to the right hand side and is well and truly ahead before the corner, and once again can set his sights forward, but the Alpine might come back at him. Is he going to switch to the inside? Vengeance has to defend. The Alpine going to look around the outside. It's going to invite the two Haas guys that have been working together. Kachow going to probably get a nice run off a turn 4. DRS open, use that ERS to close the gap. Here's Cali Rob to the outside of Stein for the podium place. The Aston Martin goes the long way round. Stein gives him the space. Who's going to get the better driver? It's going to be a drag race through turn 6 and towards turn 7. The Aston Martin's going to have the inside, but Stein goes around the outside and keeps P3 for the time being. But don't forget that Aston Martin's going to have the advantage of ERS, and they need to work together to bridge that gap to the top 2. We float back because Kachow and Dace still in hot pursuit of the top 5. Kev disqualified from the session for going the wrong way. It's certainly an interesting one, one you don't often see, and he becomes one of 4 cars that won't finish this race, which is certainly strange. Exotic still within the DRS range of Honesy, can still apply that pressure if the 3-time champion makes a mistake. Stein also interested in getting past Stein, or Cali Rob also interested in getting past Stein. Stein's interested in keeping Cali Rob behind. Both on equal tyres, both pit under that safety car, but one of them has got DRS, the other hasn't, and Cali Rob definitely hungry for that podium place. Not quite going to be him in towards turn 1. Here comes Kachow. Pretty easy move up into P6. Both the Haas cars working together nicely with some decent pace. He gets himself a 3-second penalty though and goes slow, and his teammate's going to go down the inside. Kachow's going to go all the way around the outside, gets a bit of a scrum off the exit up the inside of turn 4, but his teammate Dace around the outside pretty convincingly so. This is Cali Rob to the outside, to the inside of Stein this time. Deja vu, but roles reverse, and they're once again going to have a drag race towards turn 6. But this time Cali Rob comes out on top, and Stein has to settle for P4. Can he stay with him? They're not that far off the lead fight, only 1.1 seconds off, and they'll be in the DRS, and it could soon be a 2-car train turned 4 fight for the race lead. Kachow gets himself back past his teammate for P7, and David has managed to invite himself onto the back of this fight as well. We've got a very long train. DRS really holding everyone together like glue here. through the penultimate corner. Calirob very close to Exotic. He's going to have the DRS, and he's probably going to use that to slingshot and try and get onto the back of Honesy. Stein's lost touch to these two, in fact. Both of them probably making a bit of a mistake, but Calirob, yeah, definitely got some good pace. The Alfa Romeo goes defensive, but the Aston Martin just says, okay, you can defend. I'll just go this way. I'll keep to the normal race line. I've got the speed, and I'll get myself into P2. And again, that slingshot has worked because he's now 1.1 off Honesy and just off the 1 second range that will see him get the DRS benefit. The two Haas cars still bumper to bumper with the Alpine. Down towards turn 5, he's going to have the DRS, he's going to have the slipstream. Both Haas cars going to try and get through. The Alpine of Ben making that Alpine very wide indeed. Here comes the Haas off Kachow to the inside. Pretty easy affair. And so too Dace is going to use that open gap on the inside, but Ben gets a nice drive. So too does Dace. They're going to be side by side through turn 6. Bit of contact, and Dace has been sent into the wall, and he's sent pirouetting round and spinning and turning and tumbling down the order. And he's down to P12 and a broken front wing for the Haas, who definitely warranted some space there. Got given bare minimum enough, and when there's not enough space, you definitely make a bit of contact. And as we've seen, cars just bouncing off each other and then into the wall has been common theme. Calirob, though, on his fresh tyres, doing a much better job than Stein has of closing the gap to Honesy. He's now within DRS range and has got a decent amount of DRS in the battery. Not a lot, though, and he definitely would like more. Approaching halfway through, lap 17 of 33 of the Portuguese Grand Prix. And as it stands, Honesy is P1 with Calirob and Exotic rounding off the podium, though Stein might be able to change that. He goes down the inside of the Alfa Romeo into turn 1. He's going to use that momentum, goes off the track around the outside and keeps that position. Stein probably won't be too happy with that. And David gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. The Ferrari down in P8. But Stein, he's going to have the DRS, he's going to use his DRS, he's going to try and get past the Alfa Romeo. Second time's the charm, maybe not quite. He's going to have to sit behind once again. David trying to get past Ben. One of the Haas's have been successful, the other failed in trying. Tom Go Prof down the inside of his teammate. Gets it stopped, bit of a shake on the exit though. Mark of Kenya might launch the counter-attack in towards turn 6, no. And we go to the front of the field because Calirob breathing down the 3-time champion's neck. Calirob managing to take 2 wins last season in the F1 2020 game. He's going to want to win another today. That is always the plan, and he definitely seems to have the pace to do so. He's on the fresher tyres and is probably going to go to a second set of medium compound tyres. That is the Alfa Romeo of Indian Jesus once again going round, unfortunately. But Calirob on the back of Honesy, practically pushing him through the final corner as they dip down and then go back over the crest for the flat plane of the pit straight to the right hand side. He's got the overwhelming pace, goes down the inside. That straight line speed of the Aston Martin has proven to be absolutely lethal, but Honesy, we know what Honesy's like. He won't give this up easily. He'll fight it until it's unfightable. Stein, third time's the charm, getting past Exotic. He's going to come back at him though, dives it to the inside of turn 3. The AlphaTauri with the outside momentum manages to stay ahead, but Exotic with the DRS once again is going to go to the left hand side. Stein under a lot of pressure, goes defensive. Exotic reacts, goes to the long way round. It's going to be the outside for turn 5. Stein gives him the space. They're going to be wheel to wheel, a drag race towards turn 6, and Exotic manages to hang on. Can Stein fight this to the end? No, and he can't quite tuck in and go for the switcheroo for turn 8. So Exotic making that Alfa Romeo very, very difficult to get past indeed, and allowing Vengeance to reclose the gap to the top 4 and put him definitely in shot of a podium now. Honesy managing to stay with Calirob, but those fresh tyres are those mediums who haven't quite reached the drop-off point just yet, compared to Honesy's, whose tyres are going to be struggling slightly more so, and probably will come into the pit lane very soon for a set of hards. Maybe he's going to stretch them long and go for softs, who knows. Is he going to come into the pit lane this lap? No, he's not. Stein on the back of Exotic, he's going to try it again. 4th time's the charm, maybe. He's not got a lot of ERS in the battery though. That is not going to help his advance. Goes to the right hand side, still has enough pace, comfortably ahead before turn 1 as they dip down the hill and flick it to the right. And Stein this time gets it done. Is it sealed though? Probably not, knowing Exotic. He's going to try and fight it back at the earliest opportunity. Towards turn 5. 3 seconds shy of the lead fight now, and ERT Henry has decided to call it quits, call it a day. Unfortunately, he retires from the session. Both Red Bulls, after promising pace in qualifying, now find themselves 16th and 17th and not reaching the checkered flag, which is unfortunate because Henry was looking very dominant for the first stint, but bottled the safety car restart and probably bottled his strategy under the safety car as well, which was his own doing, his own mistake. He has to hold his hands up and hold himself accountable for that one. A lot of yellow flags happening. No full course though, and no major crashes, so that is always good, and we can stay green. Jonesy losing touch to Cali Rob in front as they all stay out an extra lap. Vengeance in the DRS. He's going to want that top 4 to then propel himself towards Stein. Is he going to be able to close enough? Not quite. He's not using his DRS. He's trying to preserve it as best he can. And towards turn number 1. Lap 20 of 33, definitely towards the closing stages of this race now. We're waiting for an actual true pit window. Everyone pit under the first safety car. This is Tom on the back of Ben. The Williams on the back of the Alpine. The 2 blues. One British, the other French, and then the Japanese. Well, not really Japanese, more the Italian outfit of the AlphaTauri with a Japanese power unit. Here comes the Williams to the outside of the Alpine. It's the long way round of turn 5. Vert trying to find a way through. He's given the space, but the Alpine takes the corner, takes the run through turn at number 5 and towards 6. Vert can't quite pick a way through. It's a 3-car train for P8, and we know how good Ben is at defending. He will fight it to the death. It gets a bit squirmy off of turn 8. Bit of contact with the Williams, and they dip down the hill in towards turn number 9 and then towards 10. This is Vert looking to the inside. Is he going to go for 2 cars in one? He goes to the inside of the Williams at the very least and towards turn 10, side by side. And Tom manages to use that momentum and caress his way around the outside. And he wants to be the one heading the charge. Indian Jesus, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Unfortunately, the race not particularly going his way after a relatively promising qualifying, but still P13 not doing too bad. Vert, though, on the back, he's going to have the momentum. He's got a nice bit of pace in comparison to Tom and Ben in front. And DRS open, Tom hasn't got a lot in the battery to use, so the Honda powered AlphaTauri, you can see all of them pushing each other down the straight. I think going to be 3 abreast in towards turn 1. The AlphaTauri backs out. Ben around the outside of Tom. They're still side by side in towards turn 3. Tom sends it under brakes, gets it stopped. The Alpine goes around the outside of Vert, trying to pick a way through, pick a line, stay committed to it, but Ben hangs on for P8, and this is lovely racing. And Vert still going to try and capitalise off it. Tom goes to the inside. Here goes Vert on 2. Is he going to go for it? Yes, he does. Gets it stopped. The Williams going to go underneath. The pair of them, they're 3 abreast on the run towards turn 6. The Alpine edges his way ahead. Vert on the inside of turn number 7. He's going to do it, but the Williams going to keep him honest. He's going to be the outside for turn 8. Can he keep it there? Yes, he can, but gets a 3-second time penalty in the process. This fight for P8 is as if it's the last lap for the race lead, and it's absolutely incredible racing between these 3. Usually you say it takes 2 to tango, but in this case it takes 3, and they're giving us a lovely show. Ben, Vert and Tom all really none of them given much, and the Williams dive into the inside, gets a bit compromised. Vengeance on the back of Exotic. This is arguably probably a more important fight, and I'm going slightly light-headed from that, losing a bit of well, just unable to breathe it seems, but Exotic peels his way into the pit lane for his stop of this race. Probably going to go for the soft tyres to the end of the race fairly comfortably so, and Vert, Tom and Ben, they were all fighting for track position as they go into the pit lane, and Vengeance has been released to try and chase after Stein in front, but Honesy and Cali Rob convincingly leave this race. 1.5 seconds, there's Cali over Honesy. Towards turn number 5 for Vengeance. The Mercedes, who has been doing a good job. And at Toss, it is a pleasure to have you in the stream. Again, as I say, it's a shame that you can't experience it live often. This is Mark of Kenya to the inside of Stuart Little. This is your teammate getting overtaken. Toss, avert your eyes and don't watch as Stuart Little, who hasn't stopped yet in this race, gets overtaken by Mark of Kenya, and Vert picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. But Stuart Little managing to get a really good run, having to brake and of course lock in the rears to avoid Mark of Kenya, who went sideways through turn 8, something we are very familiar with. And Vert fighting with Ben. Vert definitely the quickest of the bunch, and very convincingly so. So he finally gets his way through into P11, probably a net P8 I would reckon, as Honesy and Cali are both in on the same lap. Honesy has really made these tyres last. And if you can just stay well, actually give Cali a run for his money on the soft tyres, equal tyres for the pair of them. It's the first time we've seen them on the equal tyres. Honesy could still be within a shout to win this race. Stein and Vengeance stay out an extra lap, so that's going to allow Honesy and Cali Rob to extend the gap a little bit. And Stuart Little and Mark of Kenya come out. They'll probably be just ahead of him. Stuart Little going to try and come back at him for P7 to the right hand side. In towards turn 1 is ahead. The Williams tries it around the outside, but that is never ever going to work. How has Holmesy lost so much time to Cali Rob? That wasn't the gap as they went in. Maybe Cali was more committed under the brakes. That's going to be my guess. That's going to be my guess. But Holmesy, still a long way to go. I say a long way to go. 11 laps, or around about 10 and a half left to go in this Grand Prix. He's got 2 cars between himself and the man he wants to fight for the race lead. Can he do it? I mean, he should be very convincingly quicker, and the 3-time champion, in his wisdom, his experience of winning races, he knows what it's like to chase after a driver. He knows what it's like to negotiate some traffic. Goes convincingly and very much, well, very easy affair to get past one of them. Can he line up the move for the other? Surely Stuart Little shouldn't fight this one too hard. Let's go Vengeance. Barack have written him on. Holmesy picking his way through. Stein into the pit lane. Vengeance once again stays out another lap. Is he going to the end? Is Vengeance going to the end of this race? Is it worth the gamble? Kachow and David as well. Could they be going to the end? Caddy Rob has got 17 seconds to close. Of course, his tyres are going to be quick. David, Kachow and Vengeance are going to have to nurse those tyres to the end. Holmesy gets past Mark of Kenya. Now this is a strategy fight. The 2-stop versus the 1-stop. Vengeance, Kachow and David, have they pulled an absolute madness in staying out? Maybe. Maybe. Now this is very spicy. It is game on for Cali and Holmesy to bridge that gap. 11 seconds they've got to gain on the top 3 in, what is that now, 8 laps? 8.5 laps. It's going to be close. It's going to be decisive. I reckon it will come down to the last couple of laps. Those softs are going to be rapid. Cali also is going to be rapid. He's going to be hungry for that race win. Vengeance, though, hasn't got a time penalty, and that's going to help him that little bit more, as Mark Kenyon getting all sorts of out of shape off the exit of turn 8, and still in his very heated battle with Stuart Little. Neither of them given an inch. Stein also down to P8. He come into the pit lane. Also, this is Kachow getting overtaken by David. Kachow's off and he's on the grass, and that's made Cali's job slightly easier. Can he come on ahead of him? No, he's got no grip out there, and those tyres are going to be screaming for help. So that's 1 down for Cali. He's got 2 to go for the remainder of this race. Lap 25 of 33. He's coming on to lap 25. As Mark Kenya comes into the pit lane, Stein on the back of Stuart Little should easily get his way through. Into P number 5, goes the long way round. Stuart Little's not going to make it easy for him. He's actually going to fight it through turn 1. Stein has to go the long way round, keep him pinned through turn 2. Bit of wheel bang as they go towards turn 3. Surely those soft tyres are going to allow him to go all the way around the outside. Stuart Little forces him nearly off the track. Stein sends it, bit of contact still as one of them goes off the track. The McLaren off the track. DRS open for Stein, as he's surely going to have the braking capacity in towards turn 5. But Stuart Little still fighting it around the outside on 20 lap old hards. 21 lap old hards even, and Stein on fresh softs. The McLaren not making it easy for him at all, and Stuart Little wants this P5. He's going to fight neck and tail for it. Stein around the outside of turn number 8, and oh no, Stuart Little's been sent round the undulation, caught him out. That's no fault of Stein, but just an unfortunate turn of events. Stuart Little fought that very valiantly, considering the sheer tyre difference between the two. 9.1 seconds separate Cali Rob between David and 3.8 separate David to Vengeance, who probably is going to be one of the favourites to win this race. The 1-stop seems to be the convincingly better strategy. Vert and the AlphaTauri looking to get past Stuart Little. Is the space going to open up to the right hand side? No. He's going to bide his time. He's going to wait for that DRS, because he's got NRL Ben, he's got Tom, and he's got, well, he hasn't got IP, but he's got Ben and Tom right behind him for sure. Through turn 13, and there's that Stuart Little coming to the pit lane. No, it's just him defending. He's going to fight it all the way to the end of this race. Vert with DRS and DRS. He's not got a lot in the battery. He goes the long way round. This is the second time we've seen an AlphaTauri go around the outside of the McLaren through turn 1. This time, the AlphaTauri comes back out on top. Can Stuart Little mount a challenge? No, he cannot. He's got a little bit more ERS in the battery to use compared to the AlphaTauri, but Ben probably going to swallow him up, and so too is Tom in due time. Those fresh softs convincingly better. And I know I say convincingly a lot this stream, but they are very much convincingly better. And they should be. You would expect them to be, considering 22 laps on those hard tyres. They're harder tyres as it is, and to be on them for 22 laps definitely is not going to help. But Stuart Little, he's a fighter. He wants those points. He needs those points from McLaren, considering his teammate P18 and did not see the checkered flag, or will not see the checkered flag. And Tom could see this as an opportunity. Ben going to go the long way around. Is going to open up the gap maybe for the inside of turn 10. He goes for it up the inside. Stuart Little sort of scared off. Tom sees the open gap. Stuart Little around the outside. Fights it. Can Tom see an open gap to the inside of turn 11? Maybe no, but Ben does. He dummies to the inside. Stuart Little going to go for the switcheroo. The Williams can't find a way through. There's no open gap for him to take. But Stuart Little is going to have the DRS. He's going to have that run down towards turn 1 unless Ben can open up a very, very big gap through the final corner. Going to be a very, very tough ask. 7.6 seconds separate Calirop to David. He is charging after that Ferrari. He wants this win. He wants P2 at the very least. It's what he deserves. If he feels like it's what he's owed, the McLaren going to come back at the Alpine, sends it to the inside of turn 1. The Alpine around the outside. Stuart Little fighting this one very valiantly to the inside of turn 3 once more. Not quite going to be able to convert this time around. And that might be it. He fights as hard as he can, but as soon as they're through, there's no stopping them. He's sending that gap, and Tom probably going to be lining up to come through next. And he wants to hang on for that singular point, does Stuart Little. Goes in deep towards turn 5, bit of contact with the Williams. 7 seconds between Callie and David. Very close, very decisive. It will come down to the final lap, I'm sure. Interesting statistic. David has had 3 races in his NRL career. Or this is his 3rd race in his NRL career. The previous 2 he spent on the podium, and he's looking strong for a 3rd. Can he make it 3 and 3? 100% podium rate for David. Qualifying not his forte, but his race pace certainly has been rather unmatched. He's put himself in good positions. He's given himself this incredible strategy and could be good to hang on for a podium at the very least. Even if he gets overtaken by Calirop, all he has to do is stay 3 seconds ahead of Honesy, who hasn't really made many indents on their lead. Tom to the back end of Stuart Little wants that point. NRL Ben not far in front either. So Stuart Little, despite being on 24 laps old hard tyres, keeping these guys honest, staying within the DRS for an extra lap. Lap 28 of 33, goes deep through turn 3 though. Can Tom keep the foot in around the outside? No, he's going to get the run. He's going to use his DRS, he's going to use his ERS, he's going to use that slipstream, and of course the braking distance of those medium tyres to the left hand side. Gets it stopped. The McLaren once again going to keep his foot in, keep it around the outside, force the Williams to give him space, and then get that run, use that momentum through turn 6 into 7. And Stuart Little once again stays ahead. An incredible defensive feat for Stuart Little, trying desperately to hang on, and oh no, he gets slightly out of shape through turn 8. He's going to open the gap up for the Williams to keep the foot in around the outside once more, but no, Stuart Little get a bit too eager on the throttle pedal. He's round and he's out of this race, and a couple of yellow flags. Is it going to be a safety car? Indeed it is. A safety car right at the death of this race. Vengeance is going to have to stay out. This is going to close the gap back up, and it's probably going to be a safety car that lasts 1 or 2 laps at the most. It's going to be a sprint to the finish. Stuart Little may have just cost Vengeance this race. I hate to say it, he might well have done. It's going to be a long safety car, I reckon, as well. 1 or 2 laps at the most. Oh, if you are watching, do not go anywhere. This is going to close Honesy as well. Onto the back of Calirop. Stein as well, going to be brought right back into this mix. A few drivers coming in for some fresh softs. They've got nothing to lose. They can go for it. Stuart Little doing Calirop a favour. Another race in which the 2 McLarens have retired. Up 29 of 33. Safety car at the dying stages. Do not go anywhere. So in the dying stages of this race, 3.5 laps left to go. We're under the safety car after Stuart Little's crash. Vengeance leads Cali Rob in P2, and David come into the pit lane for some fresh softs. That is going to really spice things up. He's going to have the better tyres. He's going to have the best tyres inside the top 10, or one of equal with that. And certainly inside the top 5. He could go for a charge to the front. It's going to be tough. He's got to get through a couple of cars to get that podium back. But it's better than being stuck out on those hards. That is probably his thinking. It's better to come back through with fresher tyres than to be stuck out there with hards, because not everyone can pull a Stuart Little and defend like crazy. Not everyone can do that. It's only Stuart Little things. Should be safety car probably in either this lap or the next lap. So, yeah, Cali Rob, he's going to have to get his way through. And one more lap under the safety car, I'm sure, because you can't really have a one-lap sprint, I don't think. Vengeance, can he hang on? He's got no penalty. Cali Rob's going to have to get through and then get 3 seconds. Honesy's been brought right back into this as well. If he can get past, if they can both get past Vengeance, Stein and Honesy could be looking good to win this race. So too can David. He's got a penalty as well. It's going to be slightly difficult for him to do so and pull out that gap in such a short amount of time. I do not know who's going to win this race. Indian Jesus has been brought into the top 10. Can he get points on his debut? That is going to be the question. Can David retain his 100% podium rate? A lot of questions to be answered. The Portuguese Grand Prix has been absolutely incredible. We have not been, we haven't been deprived of any action today. And this is probably one of the best adverts for NRL you can get. Just goes to showcase what this league is all about, what this championship can provide, and the absolutely incredible stuff that is on offer. It's going to be hard for Vengeance. He's got Toss's faith. Toss believes in him. 24 laps he's been on those hard compound tyres. 7 laps Cali Rob's been on his. He hasn't got a penalty. He's kept it clean. 2 laps left of the Portuguese Grand Prix. We'll go green on to the start of lap 32. Can Cali Rob do it? Can Honesy do it? Can Stein do it? Can David do it? Can Vengeance hang on to take the win of the Portuguese Grand Prix? Or everyone inside the top 5 has had really good pace. Cali Rob, Honesy and Stein, definitely so. Vengeance is going to try and make this one-stop strategy work. Cali Rob and Honesy and Stein having to come in for 2 stops. Their softs are going to slowly start to deteriorate. Vengeance becomes the effective safety car. He leads them round as we go green for the final time. 2 laps left and we've gone, and he's punched it, and we're back under green flag racing. Honesy wants to make amends very quickly off this restart, using the slipstream, using that ERS. Stein as well, wanting to make up places. Can Honesy go for the move in towards turn 1? No, it's going to be Vengeance from Cali Rob, Honesy, Stein and David, your top 5. Can David use those fresh softs to his advantage? They're going to be pretty much single file, the top 5 at the very least, and it's going to be all eyes at the front. Vengeance is going to be heading a train. He's going to be absolutely white lining it and defending for his life. He's got 2 laps left of this Portuguese Grand Prix. He's led pretty much the entirety of the final stint. David looking to the inside of Stein, absolutely sends it from a mile back, side by side with the AlphaTauri. That's an Alpine going wide, I believe. That is NRL Ben going off, and yellow flags are off the restart. Didn't get it stopped, took evasive action, and still the top 5 as they were half a lap ago. Vengeance still managing to hang on. No DRS will be in effect because next lap is the final lap and you have to wait for 3 laps after a safety car in order to get the benefit. That's going to be Vengeance's saving grace. But look, Cali Rob wants that win. He's practically pushing him through, but that 3-second penalty is going to be that chain, that ball and chain that's going to be dragging him backwards. No matter how good his pace is, he needs to get through and pull 3 seconds in a lap through the penultimate corner for the penultimate time. Cali Rob on the back of Vengeance. through turn 13. It's going to be a final lap showdown between the top 5. Any one of these guys can win this race. You can see Vengeance already going defensive. Calirob using everything in that battery. Honesy as well, wanting to close the raid and rods. Look at that slipstream. The Ferrari very slippery in a straight line. If Calirob can get through and Honesy can get through, he will win this race. Vengeance goes in deep. That could be costly. Here comes Calirob to the right hand side. He looks to send it, but Vengeance breaks late enough in order to defend. Still managing to stay in front. Lap 33 of 33. And Calirob still mounting an incredible amount of pressure. Stein managing to get overtaken by David, who's up into P4. It's a Ferrari 3-4. But that penalty again, going to be dragging him back. Dace has retired from the session. Calirob trying everything in his power to mount the challenge on Vengeance, who somehow, on 26 lap old hard tyres, is making that Mercedes twice as wide as it needs to be. Portugal's, it's hard to overtake, and that's going to be helping him. And he's only got half a lap to go to bring it home for the Portuguese Grand Prix victory. Through in towards turn 10, Calirob is going to be trying absolutely everything, but Vengeance looking in his mirrors, making sure he covers off every front when it comes to defending from Calirob, who mounts that curb, trying to find a way through. Honesy lost a little bit of time. He could be under pressure from his teammate. The final sector of this race, and Vengeance goes in deep. It's going to open up the space to Calirob to send up the inside, and they've come together, and Honesy's going to come through. He's going to take P1. In the final stages of this race, side by side goes Vengeance with Exotic. He's managed to catch the car, and it's going to be P3 maybe at the best, but Honesy comes through the final corner. He's going to win the Portuguese Grand Prix ahead of Stein in P2 and David P4. He's just knocked off the podium. Vengeance comes home for P3. He gets a podium, but it's what could have been for Vengeance. Calirob very desperately to the inside. A last-ditch effort, and contact sent them round. Honesy wins the race from P11 on the grid, and that is NRL, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. It was a Ferrari 1-2 on track. David losing his 100% podium record. It was 100% on track. And well, what an ending to that. 2 corners to go and the 2 race leaders come together. Calirob very desperate, wanting to get up the inside. And that cost Vengeance his win. That should have been his. He held on brilliantly. But after 33 laps, the first Portuguese Grand Prix, and we were not disappointed. Honesy leads a Dutch 1-2 and wins the race for Ferrari. Starting in P2 with Vengeance rounding off the top 3 with David P4 and Exotic P5. Calirob P6 after spinning round the penultimate corner. Tom Prof in P7 with Indian Jesus P8 and points on his debut. Not a bad race at all for the Alfa Romeo. Vert in P9 with Mark of Kenya rounding off the top 10. IPP11 with Kachau P12. Could have been a lot better for him with Ben in P13. And the retirees, Dace, Strudel, ERT Henry, again a driver that could have done a lot better, but at least he got the fastest lap of a 13.720. Atom Kev in P17. Jody P18. Toss in P19 and Ted Warder rounding off the grid in P19 and 20. Guys, I have to say, that was probably one of the worst races to have such an intense finale, because my voice is done as it is, and it's even more so done now. But thank you so much for watching. That was round number 7 of NRL Season 5. And as I say, NRL always delivers and is the best league of the CCR network, in my personal opinion. And I think today definitely shows that the first Portuguese Grand Prix, and I'm sure we're definitely going to be coming back here in future for Season 6. Tune in next time, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Zach Sweeney. This has been NRL. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.